You're going to want to come here and take this piece, and then this should just tab into place. This should open up. It can be rather difficult to do, but you just want to fold that there. And with all of that fully aligned, here we have the Transformers Studio Series Leader Class Scavenger into his torso mode for Devastator, and this looks like it's going to be a massive piece once it's all put together, and actually has some really nice details. As you can see, some of the detailing that we saw in robot mode comes over from the shoulders, and we've got some really nice locking mechanisms. I really like how this whole back section actually becomes. If you watch my coverage when I saw this prototype over at MCM London Comic Con, this to me almost looks like the back of Devastator, where it would all grind up. It definitely does give me that impression, whether or not Hasbro intended it to do that, but it does definitely look like it's going to be a really interesting piece. And now that we have Scavenger's torso, we can really begin to start pulling the limbs to Devastator together. So to begin with, I'm just going to set his arm off to the side and start off with Mixmaster. What you're going to want to do here is, inside here, there is actually a slot, a circular slot on either sides of the back of these wheels. These are actually going to tab into these pieces here. The holes in this will peg into here, and then these slots here, these clips on the back, will actually tab into these pegs here. So what I recommend doing first is probably removing this section, just so that we can really see the interior of Mixmaster, so that we have more clearance when in here. Bring these sections out and maybe lift the hands out just for now. And what you're going to want to do here is just pull the wheel in and then turn to this side and make sure this wheel also aligns. Tab those together as firm as you possibly can, and with that aligned, now we can take these clips and bring these clips forwards if they have come undone, and just give it a push and snap that into place, and then come to this side as well and bring this forward and snap this into place. Fold the hand down and then take these and just rest those along the back. What we can then do is, of course, close all of this up, come to this piece here and snap this back into place. And with all of those steps completed, here we have both Scavenger and Mixmaster plugged together, looking really, really amazing. This looks like it's going to be an absolute incredibly detailed looking piece. However, we still have one more limb to show. So you're going to want to take this section here and just rotate it around so that you show this slot here that will actually peg into this piece of Hightower. So just align these sections up and give them a push together until they click into place just like so. And there we have the Transformers Studio Series, more or less the top half, completely finished, and it looks absolutely amazing. This really is going to be a phenomenally detailed piece and is going to be absolutely gigantuan. As you can see, I think that he really does come together really, really nicely, and it isn't until you get this figure in hand that you really get a sense of how tall he's going to be. I think that this whole arm really works very well. When I first had this arm on its own, I didn't think it looked too cool, but once you have it pegged onto the shoulder, you really are starting to gather a sense of how it's all going to come together. And bringing Long Haul and Rampage into the mix, as you can see, this is going to be a fantastic looking piece, and I believe that with Overload probably plugged on, he's probably going to be towering to about that degree, so he's definitely going to be a very, very large looking piece. As I stated, all of these Devastator figures so far have thoroughly impressed me. That all of their robot modes are really, really good. If I had to have any complaints, I'd say that the weakest is probably the arm. I'm not necessarily a massive fan of Scrap Metal or Hightower, but both Mixmaster, Scavenger, Longhaul and Rampage all look incredible. And just bringing out a size comparison, here we have that Voyager Optimus Prime. So as you can see, this really is going to be a huge looking piece. Optimus looks tiny when in the mix amongst all of these different components. Of course, I'm not going to go into too much detail of this, as I want to save all of that detail for the review that I do on Studio Series Devastator. But just as a short teaser, as you can see, he's definitely coming together incredibly nicely. So with all that being said, I do believe that just about wraps up my review for the Transformers Leader Class Scavenger, based on his appearance from Revenge of the Fallen. Once again, another terrific epic figure in the Studio Series line. Robot mode is fantastic, very, very accurate to Demolish's CGI model. They're basically the same character. Really, really nice detail, good articulation, a really refreshed update on that original Voyager class version. Transformation, once again, I don't necessarily think it's any more simpler than that original Voyager. If anything, it's more complex. Vehicle mode, whilst not being as great as some of the other Constructicons have been, it definitely does its job. It holds up quite nicely, but from certain angles it does look rather ghastly. Transformation into Devastator's mode, once again quite complex, but once you get everything aligned, I do think that it looks really, really well done. And now that we are beginning to piece this character all together, we really are in for a treat once this is done. We've got 6 out of 8 Constructicons, and I really cannot believe that we've got this many in 2019. So I really hope that the last 2, both Scrapper and Overload, come out really early in 2020, so that at least by this time next year we have a completed Transformers Studio Series Devastator. I really hope that you enjoyed this review. If you did, please let me know down in the comment section below, and also be sure to let me know your thoughts of this figure also down in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until my next video, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.